Okay, so I've done a video about the TD-1KV advanced features, and now I thought I would do a video about how to get a TD-1KV because you can't get them in stores anymore. I think they came out around 2014, and that's the TD-1K and the KV. And it was really the first Roland entry-level super cheap drum set, and that it's really small, it's easy to move around, easy to pack up, and it's very affordable, inexpensive, and it sounds freaking great. And the other thing that's really nice about it, because it's entry level, there aren't too many settings, so it's easy. You just plug it in and you can start jamming right away. So great set. Unfortunately, you can't get them anymore. They've been since replaced with other similar affordable sets, but in my opinion, it's still a great buy, and you can still find them used all over the place. So that's what this video is about, how to get one used. So it's the first electronic drum set that I ever bought, and I bought it used. So places you can look, obviously Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, local stores that might sell used equipment, friends, family, you know, whatever. Wherever you find used stuff, these are pretty easy to come by. A lot of times, parents will buy something like this for their kid. They'll play for it like a couple of days, and then it just sits around and the parents want to get rid of it. So the purpose of this video is to, how to get one. Once you do find one, how to test it, safety, when you meet with a total stranger, Craigslist or whatever, basic safety stuff, how to test these drums. They may or may not be set up for you. In my case, I met a guy at a public library, in front of the public library. And, there's nowhere to plug it in. It wasn't set up. It came to me in a box. And so I was able to still test it while I was there before I spent the, $150. So, it's hard to get a Roland drum set for $150. I actually got another one for $100. But yeah, so a great buy. I love these drums. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about reputation and basic safety. So for Craigslist, it's kind of tough to check reputation. All you can do is look at the ad, look for a lot of pictures, look for a lot of detail, look for, just basic stuff like proper spelling, that the person seems engaging. A lot of times if it's a sketchy person, it'll all be in caps. It'll be 2 words, drum set, good, or there will be one picture and it'll be like freaking blurry, so stuff like that. It's like, I don't even bother. But a decent ad by, a regular person that, just had this for themselves or for the kids, a lot of times even adults, like at Christmas time, they want to take up a new hobby or whatever, and they say, oh, I'll get an electric drum set. And, same thing. They play for, I don't know, a week, and then that's the end of it. Adults are busy. I get it. So anyway, so look, just general vibe of the ad. Now, Facebook Marketplace is better because you can check reputation of the seller. If they've sold other things, you can actually view their profile, their Facebook profile, and see if they're just a mom or dad or whatever. Just gauge it. I can't tell you all the rules, but just get your vibe on if this is a decent seller. And obviously, like a used store, that very reputable, but look for a return policy. So basic safety, that's for you to decide, but for me, I'll never meet outside of daylight hours. That's my safety protocol. It might be different for you. But also, like when I drive up, You know, when we do decide on a place to meet, or if it's their house or whatever, if I drive up and it's sketchy, I'll just keep on going. But that's actually never happened. So, but safety is definitely a thing. You know, you don't want to risk yourself for these drums. Okay, so once you've found somebody and you've communicated with them, oh, and that's another thing, you know, their communication. If they're good about communicating, then great. If they're stupid about it, then that's a red flag. You know, I have bought stuff from people that were terrible communicators, so it's not a deal breaker for me, but you know, it's just one of those things. You want to deal with a regular person as much as possible. But again, I've dealt with freaks and weirdos, and you know, they're all nice enough in the end. You know, I've never dealt with anybody sketchy, so yeah, maybe that's just my good luck. I don't know. But so once you've met or you've communicated and you've decided on a place and time to meet, the things you'll want to bring are sticks. Let's see, I've got everything here. So you'll want to bring sticks, you know, so you can hit the drums. Headphones, so when you hit them, you know, since it's a beginner set, maybe you don't know, but they don't actually produce sounds. There's no speakers or amplifier or anything. So when you go there, you have to plug in a headphone jack, the little mini jack, into the drum module, and that's what will produce the sounds. So bring headphones or earbuds, you know, whatever. And then the other thing is a power brick. So with this thing, you know, I can jump start my car, but I can also power devices. But you know, any sort of power supply, it doesn't have to be much. This specific set, the TD-1KV, doesn't take much power. So anything that can power, you know, you need to be able to plug in a standard outlet into your power supply. But bring that along, especially like in my case, when I'm meeting this guy in front of a library, you know, there's nowhere to plug anything into. You know, if you're meeting them at their house, obviously tell them, hey, please make sure they're set up when you get there. If they say, hey, look, it's in a box, you know, whatever, bring your power supply. The other thing is a drum key, if you have one. In my case, when I'm meeting the guy at the library and it's in a box, I don't really need a drum key. But if you're meeting in a garage or something and you might want to adjust things, so bring a drum key. All right, so in my case, I show up to the library and this is what the guy has, the whole thing in a box. And you know, fortunately, I was already familiar with this, so I knew what to look for. But in this video, I will explain what to look for. Nice thing is that he included the manual. So that's also a good sign. So if they have the manual, that means they're, you know, they take care of things. They take care of equipment and they're conscientious. Okay, so this is how it came to me. And again, you know, that he had the manual is a good sign. You know, it's not a deal breaker if they don't have the manual. You can download these from the Roland website. In fact, I always do in addition to having this, so I can put a copy on my phone. So here on page 4, it shows all of the parts that should be included. Now, in my case, I already knew what to look for. But let's see what we've got here. So this is the main bar that goes vertically. This is one of the base plates, or so it's part of the base. So this goes like that. Then there should be 2 rubber feet that go on this thing. And there's 1. There's 2. Now there should be a 3rd rubber foot, and there is. And let's see. Yeah, I think this is the other part of the base. So you'll see there are 3 thick tubes, and there should be 2 thin tubes. So these actually hold the drums. There are 2 pedals, one that will say hi-hat controller underneath, or HHC. The other will say kick, K-I-K. Oh, look at that. I got a free drum pad. And that's the other cool thing. You know, when you go to buy used stuff, they might throw in all sorts of extras. I think this, I didn't even know about this, but now I've got a practice pad. What the heck? Reminds me of 4th grade. But I'll take it. I think the guy gave me sticks and headphones, a portable throne, if I recall. So that's the other great thing. Like a lot of times these people just want to get rid of this stuff. You know, they tried it for whatever reason, they don't want it anymore, they just want it gone. So usually you can talk them down on price. I mean, buying used is so awesome. All right, so here are the 3 drums. So these will be the 3 toms. They're all the same. The 3 cymbals, and again, these are all the same. And then this is the snare drum. This is high quality PDX-8. You know, some of the higher end drum sets come with this, and I use these quite a bit. These feel really good. They play really well. You know, I really like the PDX-8. And this is the main module. So this is what creates all the sounds. Gives you all the features. You know, there's a metronome. There are songs you can play along with, and then there's a coaching feature. So this is for beginning drummers. Although, hey, you know, I've been playing since 4th grade, and I have used these in professional gigs. You know, hey, it's just one of those things. I got a couple of theater gigs specifically. You know, the space was so limited. You know, and then set up and tear down of this thing. You know, I just brought it in and plopped it down whole. So it worked out great. All right, so this is the hi-hat holder, I guess. It's not really a stand, but it's just for the hi-hat. And then these are the 2 cymbals. So yeah, everything's looking really good here. Yeah, there are little things you want to look at the rubber, but you know, I didn't even bother. When I saw this guy, he was so nice, really, you know, well dressed, well kept, and you know, it was the same deal. He told me, you know, he wanted to try drums, and he was moving back to Hong Kong or something, and just had to get rid of them. So I did test out all of the drums to make sure that they worked, and then that was it for me. I didn't really bother with looking at the little details. You'll definitely want to make sure that the power supply is there. So that's one. This item, if you have to buy this separately, is going to cost you like $30. So it's one of the benefits to testing the drums before you buy them. You can't test them without a power supply. So you don't want to be buying anything without the power supply, although I have done that before too, but it's better if it comes with it. This is the main, all the wires that connect the drum module to the drums and the cymbals. Oh, looks like another little bonus item here. How about that? So you can go out from the drum module into, wow, so white is audio and yellow is typically for video, so not exactly sure. I think maybe he just saw a wire and chucked it in the box. I don't know. Oh, this is the snare drum holder. And you can see, I mean, this is like brand freaking new. It's so nice. Yeah, I've bought these where they're all rusted out and just gnarly. And then, oh, these are nice. So these are the cable management clips. And, you know, not necessary, but nice to have just to keep it clean looking. And if you want to move it quickly, you don't want wires dangling all over the place. Looks like I even got the official Roland drum key, which is also nice because this specific kit, I have tried, you know, like, I don't know, I've got a dozen drum keys. And I thought that it was pretty standard, but most of my other drum keys actually don't fit so well on this specific hardware. So it's nice to get the official key. I mean, it will fit, but I have to like jam it. So it's nice to have the official key. All right, so going back to page 4 here, I'm just gonna eyeball it, but I'm pretty sure everything is there. Yeah, I don't see that RCA cable. And definitely not, definitely the practice pad was a bonus. So yeah, you can see there the difference between the TD-1KV and the TD-1K is the snare drum. The PDX-8 comes with a KV, which I definitely recommend. I do actually have a TD-1K drum set. And, you know, it works fine, but this pad for the snare just doesn't cut it for me. It might work if you play really quietly and, you know, if you're a kid or something and you're just learning and you play softly, it might work fine. But, you know, for me, I hit this a few times and it starts like moving, you know, like this arm just does not hold if you play with any sort of velocity. Okay, so I'm with this guy, you know, guy I don't know. So the way I tested this, I got the module, get the cable snake. It only fits in there one way, so make sure you're not jamming it. It'll fit in there nice and easily, so do it firmly, but if it's not fitting, don't force it or you will completely destroy this thing. All right. So I've done that. I get the power supply. Plug it into my battery. I'm going to use the wall just because I'm at home, but so yeah, power is right here. Push and hold the power button and it comes on. So you cycle through the drum sets this way, volume up or down. I think it goes up to 20. So you probably don't want to start at 20. And then all I did was, just because this guy looked totally legit, I can't remember if I tried the pedals or not, but all of these jacks are labeled. So this says T1, that means Tom 1. So essentially you just plug one of these in, put in your headphones, headphone jack. Alright, and then I hit this and I heard a sound. So If you wanted to be real thorough, you could plug in each one of these jacks, but all I did was try a few, and the main thing I was looking for were the pads, to make sure the pads were responsive. Okay, here. That works. Try another pad, this time Tom 3. Works fine. So you try all the pads. Same thing with the cymbals. Let's see, this says hi-hat controller, don't need that. Here's one, crash one. So you basically just hold it. So this is a plastic edge, doesn't do anything. This is the rubber edge where you get the sound. So you can try the bow and the edge. Works fine. So you do this with all of them, and that's basically it. You can try the pedals out. Here's the kick pedal. In fact, you should try the pedals out, because these drums are not much fun without the pedals. Now all of this stuff you can buy like on eBay or Reverb or other sites like that. So I've bought one of these before just on its own. Works fine. Yeah, I think I got one for like $12 or something. But obviously you don't want to have to go through that hassle if you don't need to. So this one is hi-hat controller. This is very specific to this hi-hat pedal. And all you have to do is test that you hear a chick sound. And that's the hi-hat controller. Now, hi-hat controller is actually one thing that might not work, and it's one of the hardest things to test. But again, if you had to buy another one, you can get these pretty cheap. Now, one thing, if you are testing this out and it's not working, something isn't working right, you can do a factory reset. So you should probably ask the guy if it's okay. First you turn it off, hold down plus and minus, then hold the power button down. So hold it all until it says RST for reset. And you can see the metronome is flashing. And then you say yes. And so you've reset this to the factory default. And again, this is probably not something you want to do until after you've bought it. But once you have bought it, absolutely, before you use it, do a factory reset. You never know what the heck people are doing with these things when you're not around. So step number one, when you get this home, factory reset. All right, so now I'm done. I pay the guy, put it back in the box, and I'm on my way. All right, well, I know there's already videos on YouTube about assembling this. In fact, Roland has one, and it's really good. I only watched a few seconds, but it's Roland, so it's going to be good. But I have to build this anyway, so I thought I would make a video. So here we go. So step one, it's the short tube, and then this curvy tube. Yeah, the curvy thick tube. So there's two thickness tubes, the thick one and then the thin one. So we're doing the thick ones. The thick ones are for the bass. The thin ones are what holds the drums and various pads. The only tool that you need is the drum key, so it's kind of nice. So yeah, just a little tube into the big tube. So the thing about this set in general, one of the reasons why I think some people get frustrated is because of the curvy tubes. Now it's my understanding that if you buy this new, like, some of the assembly is easier. I'm not sure, but there we go. I'm screwing it in all the way until it goes into the slit, so I can see the tube in the slit. All right, tighten it. And I don't think this one has to be all that tight. So you can see this is the curvy tube, and it's like the geometry of this thing is, I mean, admittedly it is strange. So eventually it's going to go like this, and you want the curvy part to like go across the floor like that. So curvy across the floor, and then like level this way. So it's a weird geometry problem, but you know, I was good at geometry, so there. All right, step 2 is adding the thick, long, straight tube. That is gonna go like this. And these are adjustable for the pads, so you can move these, but the one at the bottom, it says in the instructions specifically, don't move it, don't loosen this, because if you do that, you're going to hose the whole thing. And there's a little notice down here. It says, do not move this holder. Moving it may adversely affect the stand's stability. If you move the holder, align it with the bottom, blah, 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 blah. But basically, yeah, don't touch this one. Do yourself a big favor. I mean, it's not the end of the world. You can do it again. I mean, I've had to put mine back together again. It's, you know, it's okay. Now this one you can loosen. This one is what goes into this tube. And again, I'm going to eyeball it to make sure it's all the way in there. Now the other thing in the directions is to make sure that you've got a right angle here. So it's basically just make sure it's straight up and down, and that it doesn't go left or right. I guess, is that the y-axis? I don't remember. I'm not going to touch this one. I'm going to touch this one. But essentially, the other poles are going to go this way, like perpendicular to the floor, but curved. So I'm just eyeballing this. It's kind of hard, but you know, it's one of those things. It doesn't have to be exact, but I think that's pretty close. Okay, so that is step number 2. A couple of different angles. All right, step number 3 is to put on the rubber feet. So you've got 2 of these that are the same and one that's different. The 2 that are the same are going to go on this pole, one on each end. There's no screws or anything, it's just hand tighten, and it's rubber, so it just kind of fits on there. So nice if you have a hardwood floor or laminate or whatever. Works on carpet fine too. All right, that is step 3. All right, step 4 is the snare drum holder. And these do have to come off. The snare drum holder is supposed to be the bottom one. So this is for the TD-1KV. If you have the TD-1K, this will look different, but the principle is the same. Yeah, put it on there. Slide it down. And this is meant to be hand adjustable, so it doesn't really matter where you put it. Now this you're going to want to tighten. Once we put the snare drum on there, tighten it really good so when you hit the snare drum it doesn't tip down. But this is just a hand screw. Don't over tighten this. And there you go. Now it doesn't really matter like which way you orient it, because you can always change it later. Like I can move this to the other side if I want to, if you're left-handed or whatever. This I can also move inwards, so it doesn't really matter, and you can always change it later. So I'm giving you little details that you won't get on the Roland site. Because I'll show in future videos, I have played around with this a lot and had a lot of fun with different setups. You know, there are no rules. I mean, I guess the only rule is that it doesn't tip over, so you have to be safe. But otherwise, I mean, you can put these things in all sorts of crazy positions, and I did. So future video at some point. So that was step 4. Okay, step 5, and this is the one where I think people go kind of wrong. And again, I mean, there's no right or wrong, but there's level and not level. So this is the one. If you don't get it level, you know, again, it's not the end of the world, but it's just going to be weird to try to play on. And I guess, you know, one man's weird is another man's awesome, so whatever, I'm just saying. The idea is to have this curve inwards towards you, and you being right here. So when you set this up, you're going to sit here. The drum throne is here. Have it curve inwards towards you, but be level to the ground. So you can just eyeball it, and you can see if you twist it all the way down, it looks kind of like a sad face, like a sad smile. And if you go up, it's like a happy face. Although you're not going to be happy if you do that. You want it straight, like a, you know, no emotion kind of face, or whatever you call that. But just level to the ground, essentially. So I'm eyeballing it and can always change it later, but I'm going to tighten it in there now. So it's the long bar that's going to be on the bottom. And I'll lower this just a little bit for now. On the top will be the smaller of the two. And it's the same thing. You want it level to the ground. No smiley face and no frowny face. Level to the ground. And I would say also try to center it. Again, it's one of those things that you can adjust later if you want to. In fact, it's one of the things I did, you know, trying to be creative. I've moved these bars all over the place. And there's a good reason why. I'll show in a future video. All right, so that's step 5. All right, so step 6 is to add the snare drum. So this is the PDX 8. And you can loosen it here. And it just goes on this rod. And this is one of those things. again, just hand tighten it. And I'm just putting it on, and we can adjust it later. So that is step 6. All right, step 7 is the 3 toms. So you'll have 3 of these, and hopefully you have tightening bolts. If you're missing these, you need to get replacements. So you can probably find them on eBay or something, or maybe Roland can send you some. But you won't have any fun if you don't have these, because it's what makes it stay on this stand. If you don't have it, it will, once you hit this pad, it will very quickly start dropping. So I've loosened it. Now I'm kind of just making its way on in there. And again, I'm just putting it somewhere that I think is about right, and I can always change it later. So this becomes your floor tom. Now we'll do the same for up here. This all kind of points inwards, like, you know, it doesn't fit over this pole evenly. The hole for the bar is on this end, not on this end. So again, I guess if you wanted to, you could turn it around, but I think this is the way it's meant to be. This is one of your rack toms. And this is the other rack tom. And you'll notice, if you're new to electric drums, there's no electrical current that goes through the stand. It all goes through these wires that will connect later. So that's why you have a lot of flexibility. So you can move this stuff anywhere you want. Again, as long as it stays upright. All right, so there they are. They're a little bit uneven already, but okay, those are the 3 toms, and that was step 7. Okay, so step 8 are the cymbal holders. So this straight one, there's only one straight one, and then there are 2 curved ones, or they're like bent at the top. So the straight one is for the hi-hat. This bolt is to adjust the holder itself, and then this other one is to allow it to fix onto the stand. So there we go. So it's nice, you can adjust it up and down to your taste. Let's see, so the bend goes towards you as you're sitting on your throne. The bend at the top should come in towards you. And this is, so the cymbal kind of has a little, it's tilted towards you instead of like flat. So this is for the ride cymbal, and this one is for the crash. Guess I'm going to have to make room for that up here. Now, I think technically what they want you to do is to put both of these on this bar. So you can do that. It's a personal preference thing. So I'm moving this one further in so I can have room for this crash cymbal. So you can see it's already getting kind of tight up here. It's a very compact drum set. So that's good, and it's also bad. Good that it doesn't take up much space, but kind of bad because you don't, if you're a drummer like me and I like to move a lot. I like to stretch out. I put my cymbals usually really high. I like to, that's just my preference. Obviously some people are just the opposite. They like everything really close together, and so if that's you, then this is going to be perfect. All right. So you'll see if you look at my other video, the advanced features video, they sell an add-on holder, and that will go up here. Or if you want, you can put this here and your ride is just higher. Most drummers will put the ride over here, but again, personal preference. And that is step number 8. All right, step number 9 is to add 2 cymbals. Now it comes with 3 pads, but they're all the same. You can see underneath CY5, so it doesn't really matter which one you use. And it just snaps on here. No tools required or anything. I would hold underneath while you give it a firm push. Same thing up here. One hole, so you can't screw this up. And it's a great setup. So you can rotate these. It's rubber, and so that it rotates, but with friction. I mean, obviously you're not going to want to play sit and spin on it. I've dated myself. But while you're playing, because it's the rubber area that you strike, this white plastic area, if you hit it, you're going to sound like you're hitting white plastic. It doesn't give you a drum or a cymbal sound. So you'll want to adjust these over time, and it's nice to be able to do that easily by just, giving it a little tug. All right, step number 10 is the hi-hat. Again, the same cymbal pad as the other 2. You just unscrew this, and so this is a case where you can't actually move this because this is tapered, if that's the word. So it's there to prevent rotation specifically, because the hi-hat, when a typical drummer will play the hi-hat quite a bit, and over time it would rotate without this. I think it's called a rotation stopper. So you'll want to tighten this pretty good. Again, it's a hand tighten thing. Down here is where you use the drum key, and you'll want to rotate it towards you. And again, you can always change this once we're done. I'm just demonstrating what that's all about. And this is something you do want to have pretty good and tight, because hi-hat, a lot of times you do hit it pretty hard. Okay, that is step number 10. All right, step number 11 is to put on the module. So, this is actually 2 different pieces. Mine came with them connected as one, but the reality is there are actually 2 pieces, and there's a bolt that goes through to connect them. So the idea is you put this at the top. I'm going to loosen this. All right. And then this goes in there, and the bolt goes through. Hand tighten it for a little bit. And that's that. Step 13 is just to put the pedals in place. All right, the one that says kick goes on the right. The ones that says hi-hat controller, HHC, goes on the left. If you're left-handed, you're going to reverse that. And I guess come to think of it, if you're left-handed, you'll reverse these two and these two. These you can stay. But yeah, so it's, it's a great system that they've designed here. And the next step is to connect the cables. All right, so I've got the cable snake, and this only goes on one way. So put it in there nice and snug, and then screw in the top and the bottom. And now you just connect each one of these. Everyone is labeled, and they've done a good job about the different lengths being able to reach different places. So this one says T2. This is going to be Tom 1, 2, and 3. So, there's Tom 2. This one, T1. So, no tools. These just snap in. All right. This says ride, so in my case this is the ride. Now you'll notice this is kind of a tight stretch because they want you to put it here, but I want to put it where I want to put it. And the other thing is you can put it into this little rubber cable management, which is really a nice touch. Very, very nice. And you want to give this a little bit of slack because this moves a little bit. Tom 3 down here. This says snare. Hi-hat, so HH. Be careful, there's one that says HHC. And that goes to the pedal. The longer cables are for the pedals, so it's pretty foolproof. Here, that goes in there. And again, we've got a little cable management right there. Crash 1. So there is actually a Crash 2 cable also. But this is for Crash 1. And you'll notice Crash 2 has a cover on it. And that's because you would set it up connected to the optional cymbal, like I was saying before. And they have this cover on it because if you touch it like this, it will actually trigger a sound. So if you chuck this on the floor and step on it or kick it or whatever, it will make a sound. So you can cover this up. I see people asking a lot if they can buy extra covers, and the answer is no. I have tried. And what Roland suggests is to go to a hardware store and pick up something, some little cheap piece of plastic that will cover it. All right, hi-hat controller goes here, and this is a nice feature too. So your cable is going to go into one of these slots here, and depending on if you're left-handed or right-handed, but the slot that goes towards the center, whichever side that is for you. And then this one is a kick, similar setup, and we are done with that. But I've got my cable management here also. So this, you do whatever seems best for you. Depends on how you've set up your set. So this is a pretty typical setup, I think. So I think this is the typical way to do the cable management. And then one on this level. And all this does, you know, this is optional. It's just, it tidies things up. Now, if you move this, be sure to either disconnect these before you pick it up. Because if you pick up this without disconnecting, then it's gonna yank. So just be sure to disconnect the pedals before you move it. There are actually 4 of these. So, oh, the one thing about this is it has these things just snap on, by the way. It snaps on the pole. And it has this center spot, and this is where the cables actually go. And this is where the pole goes. So try not to pinch the cables, but route the cables through that hoop. Alright, so here the power goes on the bottom, and you just plug it into the wall. I guess you have to be careful not to route the cable under your pedal. You know, get an extension cord if you have to. It's totally fine to use an extension cord with this. I have done that a million times. So, yep, totally fine. Alright, so yeah, this doesn't come with any speakers. So you've got a headphone jack, and you can use it with headphones or plug it into an amp. So I happen to have an amp here. Get a drum throne, sticks. Alright, let's see what we've got. And you can see this one is already falling down. So, tighten it again. And you'll notice just touching the stand caused some triggering. And that's just the nature of this being a very inexpensive set. So yeah. So just be aware of that. And that's the TD-1KV. I love it.